So, welcome. Thanks for joining in for meditation together today. Weekly here through Sun and Moon Yoga Studios community, online community. And if you're just finding us by chance, please check our website, sunandmoonyogastudio.com, and see the offerings we have. We've been, oh gosh, what year are we going on? More than 25, since 94 established. And we're a strong community that keeps evolving, and we practice together in person, meditation, asana, and other practices. I think the yoga world is starting to unpack a little bit more some of the psychological and relational practices, the off the mat, the off the cushion aspect of the one side is always being, the other always becoming, and the two are related. And I'd like to focus a little more. I'm trying to get myself to focus for this time that we're together every Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern time for just under a half hour on the always being part. And again, they're not separate from each other. However, it helps us to attend to each one separately, each of those halves of the yin yang. One is the black would be the always, in my mind, the always being, the black teardrop, and the white always becoming. So the black, the quieter, the not as evident, the more passive, receptive, often said feminine, and the masculine is the active, the always becoming. And they are in harmony, in a kind of harmony and a dynamism with each other. So teacher Adyashanti from California, Stephen Gray is his born name. I had the opportunity to sit with him in retreats quite a few times, a handful of times actually. And like many good teachers, he's got aphorisms that stick with us. And one that he would start retreats with often is, don't miss this opportunity. I find that a little bit of like a koan, like a Zen koan. What does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? And that's also a useful tool. So maybe as you hear those words, and I may say a little bit about it, pointing to that, but also you can delve into what, like, let it sit, let it simmer with you, and see what does it mean for me? What's this question, this inquiry, self-inquiry? That is the aspect of, it's one of the aspects of the always becoming, the off the mat practices, but it's also on the mat, on the cushion. So see, they're not separate. And when we sit, what I've been pointing to a lot these last months is oftentimes something that enters into the quiet of the sitting that is instructive, that can be, rather than taking all our attention, we can be open to it, we can welcome it. Hear it, but not let it take over. So in particular, what I'd like to point to for this, don't miss this opportunity, is really entering the silence, the stillness. Not just entering, but I guess opening to, and as we sit with that commitment to silence and stillness and just being, that we get more and more intimate, that it allows itself to be seen, to be felt, to be more real for us. So maybe I think because there's this sense of being called home, I've spoken about sometimes. I believe, and my teachers talk about it, that it's something that all of us have in whatever way we're being called to what our true essence is. And these words sometimes they resonate, and yet, like the don't miss this opportunity, it's a little bit like, what does it mean? In the words, and different people with different traditions, different spiritual traditions, call it different words. And that may, sometimes there we start to butt heads. It's like, well, that's not what it is. It's this. We give it labels. And the labels are important as pointers, as the yellow brick road. But we can allow it to have different names, and we can allow it to unfold for ourselves and pair it with what is the experience, which really can't be put into words, and yet it's helpful. The poets and the mystics and the teachers and anyone. Sometimes it's a billboard, sometimes it's an advertisement, sometimes it's something so prosaic and seeming the farthest thing from true essence, because everything that is of that true essence, the dark as well as the light. And so I'd like to dedicate our time today to don't miss this opportunity, to letting the mystery unfold. And part of why I often talk about the always becoming part is that it can seem to sabotage our sitting, our quiet. It can seem to distract. It can seem to take over, to prevent us from the very quiet that we envision and know is there. So it is important to know that, to have ways to meet that. And so if you do feel like you're being hijacked away from your meditation, from the goal of your meditation, stay with that. Stay with that feeling. And what happens is a kind of refinement for you, or each individual refinement toward, I feel what I'm feeling, as if I'm being drawn away. That itself is clarity. That itself is a little awakening, maybe a big awakening. So if at all possible, just keep meeting each guest, each visitor that comes. All right, Kitty is over there right now. Her current name, we're not settled on a name even yet, I think, but might be Minnie Mooch, might be Betty Boop. You might see her. Okay, about 12 minutes of silence. So if you haven't yet, take a moment to set up your seat. I start and end with a bell and a bow. She's right here. You'll see her tail. You got to come on screen since you're here. You going to make noise today? Nope. All right. Set up your seat. Set up your position. You might want to choose to lay down. You might have legs up a hassock, legs up a chair. You might have you might sit with your back against the wall. Let yourself find the position that will feel stable and support you, and that you won't need to fidget to deal with that halfway through. And we find that through trial and error and through support, like I have some support under my leg. Let's begin. The bell and the bow marking this transition from one kind of state of choosing of state of being to another. Of course, our being is always just here. The bow, I kind of went through that quickly. There's a feel to the bow, the palms in front of our heart, and the forward tilt of the body. The placement of the hands as they come out of the bowing. I choose to place my hands, my right hand, back of the right hand into the left, the middle knuckles sort of lined up, and the thumbs, tips lightly touching. Sometimes called cosmic mudra or universal mudra. And then the backs of my wrists and forearms are lightly against my inner thighs. Depends how you're sitting. The arms are not, shoulders and arms aren't just dropped, but a little bit active, a little bent at the elbows. So not only do my hands form this sphere, but my arms, heart, hands form another circle and circuit. And then we might lean into whatever pointers, whatever mantra helps us to settle the body. Often settling the body, the mind will follow. So ground is often the first pointer I look to, and ground has a lot to do with just the true now sensations of body, getting immediate knowledge of the hardness, the surface, the foundation underneath. But it's also about the ground in my own body, the ground that is with me, sort of, could think of it as deep in the belly, the deep, deep belly, or it might be in the feet and legs as well, and it might be at the downward feel of gravity in the spine and the spinal column or the center core. And perhaps notice as you bring your attention thus, there might be a quieting of the mind as it settles, attention settles to this vehicle, this body. And this same pointer ground includes the whole verticality, as I mentioned, the core, the deep core, vertical core. And its counterpart, which is always present with it, is what I call levity. Gravity downward, levity, upward, together, a center, a grid that supports us when we find it in a sensory way. And all these words, I'm hoping that what you sense, that you're open to that always being, that you don't miss this opportunity, as the mind can be used to focus, to attend with our intention of being right here now. That focused attention opens us to that boundless home. And the usefulness of another little part of our attention, small compared to the boundlessness of the whole, is attention to the hands, the arms, this mudra, this gesture. We can notice, like, sometimes we've completely lost it. It's too relaxed, or it's tightening. The thumbs are pressing too hard, and we find that just right space. And it's just this little guardrail to help us navigate right back to, I'm right here, and I'm open. I'm welcoming. To a wider perception. And the pointer I use after ground sometimes is sound, sound. And just receiving that symbol, that word, sound, may tip you right into that combination of all that's around us, space around, combined with this body right here, this being right here, this more horizontal dimension. And whatever edges come up in this practice, whether it's the lapsing mudra or as I sensed sound and space around, I sensed a rigidity in my back, like an edge of my body with the space around me. And the third, the final that I use, sometimes not in this order, is breath. Breath. No need to control. Just simply receive how breath is here for you, right here, right now. And as attention lightly rests on these various aspects of our meditation practice, there's a concurrent possibility to just let go without losing any presence to each specific arising. There's a letting go into the boundless presence. It's right here. There's nothing you need to do to find it. Palms together at the heart, bowing together. End of our practice, our formal sitting, approximately 12 minutes, and a transition, right? So you feel a certain state of being, state of mind, and we're on to something next. And I hope you can, I believe, and I have expressed recently that those kind of phrases like, it's right here, there's nothing you need to do to find it. I have shared that has sometimes felt so frustrating to hear that. And yet there's a piece of it that's, I know that's something that's true. And so again, it's a koan, like must be the theme today is koans. And so it's similar to inquiry of just hold that. Why is that true for me? How? And so that right here, we really cultivate the ability to find it in our quiet, still meditation time, but also any moment, even after when I rung the bell. In some ways, all the specifics, all the richness and variety of life is exactly what can point us to that. It's right here. It's the substrate of everything. So Kitty is very quiet. I think animals respond to meditation. Don't you think so? Sometimes they want our attention when we're doing that. So thank you again for being here. It's an honor and pleasure for me to share this time with you, and I hope to see you next time. Ciao, ciao.